Speaking of the demons, I'm reading a book right now called Sinister Yogis by a very erudite researcher writer named David Gordon White. Yeah, and like just as soon as I started reading it, I know I have to read his other books on yoga because it's great. But he's explicitly talking about the character of yogi in the East not being what we think of in the West, and
yeah, not this happy face stuff that California bottle blondes are doing.
Yeah, and yogis being people viewed with fear and suspicion for potentially having spiritual powers, or moving into territory of they don't need to, they feel the need to abide by social mores and laws, rules, ethical principles. But there's also at the same time there's a link between the yogi and the king, you know what I mean? Like maybe they switch places, maybe the king is like, fuck this, I'm gonna go become a yogi, or the yogi becomes a king, this
that whole legend around the Buddha when he was born. It was prophesied he would either be a world conqueror or the founder of a great religion, because he had that spirit, and it's two expressions of the same potential energy. So, worldly power, spiritual power, they're the two edges of a double-edged sword, basically. And he obviously made his choice.
Yeah, I definitely, it's, I think a lot of, I think all world religions operate under the principle that power is too dangerous for the average person. You got to keep them locked down. Don't let them know what this, don't let them know the secrets and everything. I think, and then kind of like how you were saying, we were just shooting another thing, and Brad was talking about how things that are more complex are easier for him to understand, paradoxically. It's kind of similar like that to me with matters of moral, I don't know, not just moral ambiguity, but I think when things are more gray, it becomes this rich field of exploration and like, who am I actually, and who do I want to be? And I think these yoga and kung fu, it's a mirror, and it's and you can, and ideally one would be integrating more draconian principles where it's in its proper place, and it's not you're not just
you can't really be, it's part of being human, having to accept that violence is an aspect of your life that you're going to encounter, that you're going to have to come to terms with, but more so for men than women, or even more so for men than women, rather. You need to really examine your relationship with violence, your potential for violence, your capacity for violence, and all of the things that will grow out of it. One of our themes for this discussion is definitely going to be the demonic path in martial arts, that way of life that you end up on when you become consumed by a lust for violence, a love of violence, for killing for the sake of killing, for hurting for the sake of hurting. It's definitely several orders of magnitudes greater for a martial artist. It's more incumbent on you as a martial artist to examine that sort of thing. But any man in any part of the world, in any age, is going to have at least a cursory version of that conversation with himself. You're going to have to look at it and decide, am I somebody who will use violence when provoked? Or am I the sort of person who's going to exert my strength on everyone around me? Are you a protector, a warrior? Are you a bully? Are you a bandit?